Hello, Steve White, Trickboy89 for Steve Vats 89, Star Trek's Gatekeeper. Well, Nicolas Meyer's been on Twitter lately talking about Star Trek. Now, I'm sure everyone knows who Nicolas Meyer is. He famously was hired to rewrite the Star Trek 2 script and direct the film. He rewrote it with no credit. He rewatched every episode of the original Star Trek to get an idea from Space Seed and continue that. And he did a good job. It is the beginning of the end for Star Trek because he did make it more popular in a way, because Star Trek Motion Picture wasn't well received in some level because it was like a pure science fiction art film, whereas Wrath of Khan was very much just a popcorn, general public sort of action adventure crowd pleasing sort of film, and that sort of helped Star Trek stay afloat, but it kind of hurt Star Trek in a way because people stopped expecting science fiction from Star Trek and they just expected villains and space battles and goodies versus baddies, basic rubbish, trash, basically. So I'm very cynical about his what he's given Star Trek or what he's taken from Star Trek, and I'll do a whole video about Wrath of Khan at some point, but I'm going to do a little bit of research about a couple of things. But so he was brought on as a consulting producer for Discovery, because after Star Trek 2 he co-wrote Star Trek 4 and then directed Star Trek 6, and then he was brought on as a consulting producer, which was mostly just because they wanted his name to sort of say to Star Trek fans, look, we've got Nicolas Meyer working on this, it's going to be good. He did very little. He wrote a couple of scripts which basically got rewritten. Apparently Kurtzman suggested he write a 3-night, 3-hour miniseries, like a 3-episode miniseries, which is just a really weird number. I don't know why you do 3, or 3 hours. It doesn't make any sense. Of Khan's story, the 15 years where between Space Seed and Wrath of Khan, where he was on Ceti Alpha 5. So he did that. He felt it came out very well. He delivered it. It sat there, and nothing's happened ever since. There was talk briefly of an actor being cast and talk of it briefly being on the CW separately from what was happening on All Access. And that never happened. And it's just sitting there just waiting, and I don't know why it's not being made. But he answered some questions, and I don't know, the most interesting thing was that he was prompted by Alex Kurtzman to create it. Why they specifically went for 3 episodes, 3 hours, I don't understand. Why you wouldn't do 2.5-hour episodes and like a normal miniseries, like 4 parts or 2 long movie length parts or whatever. That's normally how they divide that up. I don't know why they're doing 3. That's basically just a movie spread over 3 nights, because 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes without the commercials ends up 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes. That's like 2 hours basically. So yeah, I don't really want to know what I don't have high hopes for it, because it's all about Khan. It's all about his existence on this planet, which has been destroyed. Now, this has sort of been covered in novels and comics. We know basically he was put on this planet to basically create his own little empire, and the freedom to do that. It's like, okay, we're not going to let you take over our world, but you want to go create your own little world, you can do that. We'll see how well that goes. Let's just, leave you as a bit of an experiment. But unfortunately, one of the neighbouring planets exploded. It shifted the orbit of the planet and destroyed it. It was basically a wasteland. So it's very cynical and negative and everything, and just seeing this person struggle to survive. Like, Star Trek is about prospering, about us evolving and exploring outside of ourselves, outside of our universe, everything. It's optimistic. It's that's why I love Star Trek. Whereas this story is very much, in the latest sort of Star Trek shows, they're all just about surviving and repairing and dealing with trauma. They're not really about exploring or growing or joy or anything. It's just very negative, very dark and very cynical, and just you never feel like you're achieving anything. So I don't really know what we'd get out of this. Okay, we see him start to set up his little world, and then it gets trashed, and he just survives until the end, where they see a star, and they're like, oh, there's a ship coming, and that's the end of it. I'm like, okay, 3 hours, 3 episodes. I don't. Why? There's so many. They're just trying so hard not to give us Star Trek. They're trying every other outlet, every other story, every other spin-off, every other thing they could possibly do besides just putting people on a ship, evolve people on a ship that don't fight, and going out into space, exploring space, and having all these outside experiences with alien races that can teach us about ourselves indirectly through allegory, as opposed to just preaching current day politics in space in the future, which just doesn't work. So I don't know. I find it curious that they didn't touch it. I find it really bizarre that it was actually Kurtzman who suggested it. I thought what had happened was Nicolas Meyer came up with it, and they were like, yeah, no, we're not really interested in this. But Kurtzman asked him to do it. That was what was interesting to me about this article, what got me to do this video. But I still don't know. I don't really want to see it. So we'll see what happens if it ever sees the light of day. Probably become a comic or something one day. I don't know. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the whole thing. Thanks. Bye.